Hey guys, hey! Welcome to episode 3 of In Your Own Words with me, your host Pia. Brought to you by Common Sense and Radical, and we are here today with a really amazing guest. Welcome, Mr. Danny Andrews.
Hello.
Thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry. Continue then.
No, I was just saying thank you for having me. It's a privilege to be on the show and be able to speak to you guys and be a voice for the people.
Are you excited?
Yeah, of course. Definitely excited. Well, I guess excitement is an understatement, but I mean... no, that's me just being a joker.
Everyone from Manchester is apparently a joker.
Yeah, I can switch it on and off when needs be. But apart from that, it's going to be great to speak to you guys. Give a little overview on me, my life, my story.
So today's session, we're going to be talking about rewriting your stories and like where you've come from, what adversities you've had to face, how you overcame almost like hard times in your life, and how you got to the position that you are now. So I suppose my opening question to you is, what is your story?
So my story is that I grew up in Manchester, a place called Rusholme.
You can tell by the accent, everyone.
Number 6 Cyril Street, round the corner, and you know it was. I guess in the area that I'd grown up, it's an area of, to some extent, of real deprivation. You know, of course, there's a lot of gang affiliation, but there's a lot of poverty as well. It's a poverty-stricken area, and you know, people don't necessarily have exposure to outside of, we would call the estate, because everyone's half the time stuck in the estate, you know. So this is kind of how I saw things in life at an early age. Not only that, my household, which is a big part of my life, is that I'd grown up in a household full of domestic abuse and neglect. You know, unfortunately, my father, who was also a pastor of his own congregation, you know, he kind of abused me, my mother, my siblings. I guess that was the darkest point of my life, really. I think, you know, you often hear stories about people sort of speaking about, you know, this has happened in my life, but they're talking about 1 time and 2 times and 3 times. But I guess for me, this was heavily done every single day of the week, you know, 24/7, 365 type of thing. So, you know, this type of life that I was brought into was a life of violence, and everything I knew was violence, purely because I was born into violence.
Do you feel like that, like the way that you've grown up in your household, that's changed your perception on life and how you see certain things or how you want to be as a person?
Yeah, well, you know, they oftentimes people say that coming from a household where domestic abuse takes place, it can either cause you to be that person, violent, domestically abusing your family, or it can cause you to do the opposite, which is love, nurture, care for. You know, you have a different type of heart. And I guess mine just steered towards that direction, nurture, caring. But that wasn't till later on during my life.
I feel like that's a lot of ways that things can go in life. Like, I've seen so many people in hard situations and like family, friends, and there's 2 ways you can go. You can be in a hard situation, so go out of your way to make someone else's situation hard and feel like the world owes you because they've put you in a shitty situation, really, or you can go out your way to make someone's life brighter and more positive because you've seen that and you think, you know what, I don't want to put anyone else in that position because I've been through that myself. And I think it's hard to go between the two, to be fair, because it's a fine line. Like, you have that anger inside of you, that resentment, that like you've like that is stuck with you and like psychologically with you, I suppose, depending like who you are. And so to overcome it, I think is like, it's like quite it's like, how do I explain, like a amazing thing to do, to be able to differentiate between that and think, you know what, actually I want to go and like make a good life. Like, that takes a lot of like strength inside of you to be able to do that.
Yeah. I think in response to kind of what you say now, I think fear can either be your biggest strength or, I guess, your greatest downfall in life. And adding to that is that my fear of becoming that dark Danny, that crazy, insane, mad, furious, dangerous Danny is what caused me to draw towards the other side.
Yeah.
Fear is also seen as a negative thing, isn't it? Oftentimes for a lot of people, but you can take positivity out of it. And my positive that I take out of fear is that I fear that dark Danny because I know what that Danny can do. So I try my best to really steer towards the other side where I can keep in control of myself, keep in control of my thought processes. But then you've got to understand as well, then surely that's a mind thing. Not everybody has the ability to think in that manner,
It does take a lot of strength, I think, to be able to do that, because especially nowadays with a lot of like mental health stuff, it's very easy to get into a bad mindset, very easy. And I think it takes a lot of willpower to be able to overcome that and tell yourself, actually, I want to do something better. I want to be someone better. And just have that almost positive mindset. I think that is what we struggle with as a society these days, having that positive mindset.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's amazing that you were able to do that, to be fair. One thing I was going to ask is, do you feel like all this that you're talking about, these emotions like fear and anger and things like that, do you feel like that you've had stereotypes because of that? Like, some people have seen you as like maybe like a stereotypical black man that has had this like past or have these emotions, and that's affected you in terms of like how you've been perceived by certain groups of people.
I think oftentimes people look at where you come from. The most common question asked is what? Where are you from?
Where are you from, like UK, or where are you from?
Both. But the question is,
that.
where are you from?
Yeah.
Why do people ask that question? Where are you from? Why is that most times the first question people ask? Why is it not like, how are you doing, or are you okay, or my name is? Why is it always, where are you from?
To see if you fit in with them, I suppose, isn't it?
And
do they claim you?
I think that's just a natural thing that's become the new normal in some ways. That's become the thing. People want to understand you and know who you are. And from knowing who you are and understanding you, they can then respond to that in whether, is this person for me or is this person not for me? Or put together an overview in their mind, and that stereotypical mindset of, I bet this person's about it, or I bet this person's this, and I bet this person's that, or maybe I need to keep a little bit away from this person. So everybody has that type of view on where are you from.
The stereotypes that come through. I think also it's like a claim, isn't it? If you have someone and they say, oh, like, if I ask someone, oh, are they Indian? And they say, yeah, then I'm like, okay, I can claim you. You're my own.
Yeah.
We should have similar experiences. But really, it doesn't always work like that. Like, we're all so different. And, you're right. Like, what does that mean when you say, like, where are you from? Like, what do they want you to say as well?
What's the intention?
Yeah.
What's the intention? I'm not disregarding it. I'm just saying, but why?
A little
Why?
thought
Where
in the
am I
back of your
from?
head. Do you get a
You
little
know.
bit like put off by that question? Like if someone asks you, are you like, oh, like this again? Do you know
Yeah.
what this? Can I just
Oftentimes.
say this is embarrassing because the first thing I asked him, because he had a very strong Mancunian accent,
Hold
and
on.
when he
This is
came
my
in,
session.
when he
Joking.
came in, I said to him, I was like, oh, so where are you from? So we're talking about this, and I'm like, oh shit, like I did this earlier. So, no, sorry, carry on.
This is my episode. I'm
Yeah,
joking.
no, I'm
I'm joking.
taking over.
No, I'm joking. I love it. I love it. I love this interaction. This is fantastic. And just to obviously add there, a lot of my young people that I work with now, this would be great for them, and I think it'll be a positive step towards greater futures for them going forward. But another stereotypical kind of viewpoint people had of me at the time was, he's always serious, he's always moody, he looks aggressive. You know,
Aggressive,
he
keyword.
looks, yeah. That's why I smile a lot these days.
You've got a really nice smile, to be fair.
Yeah, thank you. You know, my mum did say to me, she said, Danny, look, you know, when I was younger, I just used to look so ugly because I was always frowning. You know, so my mum said, listen, you know, my mum's Nigerian, innit? So she was like, come on, you know, smile, put that smile on your face. People, you look ugly.
I like it.
So ever since then, it was just like I had to put a smile on my face because she said that'll brighten you up and it'll
It's
make you look
nicer
good.
though. I feel like
Yeah.
it's warmer when people start smiling. I think it
Yeah.
is. But I feel like there's a certain thing as well though of like maybe like black men not smiling because
Yeah.
I feel like then it is like, oh, you're a bit aggressive, a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
serious, a bit like I don't
Yeah.
want to be near you.
For sure.
But then like if you smile, I suppose people think in their head like they turn it around and think, oh, okay, like they're smiling, like they seem a bit more open. But it's a weird thing to think that as well.
Yeah, but most of the time when I frowned when I was younger is because I was in that world, and
Yeah.
that's just part of what, like, you don't smile when you're caught up in that sort of stuff that I was caught up in, which you'll probably come to ask me later, won't you, about
Yeah,
what I was involved in. But I mean, the frowning, the screw face, as they would call it, the screw
Yeah.
facing was kind of the thing that made me, and that showed that was a survival thing, actually. That screw facing was like to let people know that you're about it, or to show that, look, I mean business. And that was a survival state of mind.
I suppose I could say we could touch on it now a bit, but what were you involved in, like, as a kid? Like, what were your experiences growing up in Manchester? And how has that affected you in, like, your life now?
This definitely is
Deep
in relation to what I'm
question.
going to talk about.
Yeah.
There was a time when Michael hosted an event at the Manchester Uni, and someone was talking about kind of like getting stopped by the police and this, that, and the other, and someone was saying, I got stopped by the police and that. I jumped up. I don't know why I did it the way I did it, but I jumped up and I was like, I sold drugs.
Wait, in the middle of this, like,
Yeah,
convention thing, in this talk?
In this talk,
Oh,
yeah.
no way.
I was trying to vent. I was stressing. I was
All the
stressing the
spotlights.
fact that even though I was involved in what I was involved in, the police didn't always treat me in a negative way to how people kind of see
Yeah.
the police treating people now. But anyway, I was involved. But all right, so let's take a step back.
Yeah, okay.
Before I got involved in, selling drugs and in that type of perimeter, it's more to do with the fact that I wasn't in control at home. I needed to take control outside the house. That would make me feel better. That would make me gain that sense of credit, power.
Your own self.
Yeah, you start to feel like I'm back to where I need to be. When your father's smashing you up for whatever reason, something stupid, something big, doesn't matter what it is, but going reckless on you, you feel like this, you feel feeble, you feel like you're weak, and you just like, you just don't feel good in yourself. So I had to make my way out of the house and take control back. And in taking control back, I was getting involved in fights, and that's how it started. I must have had over 100 and odd fights.
Wow.
I was trying to represent me. I was trying to show people, look.
Was it like trying to be a man almost as well? Like, take that identity.
It's control.
Of yourself.
Yeah, it's control. Like it is partially identity. Do you know, it's like someone who's always getting bullied. This doesn't happen often, but there are times when somebody who's always getting bullied gets to a point where I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this. I'm going to take control back. I'm going to show you what's going on. You know, so for me, it got to that point where I said, I'm sick of this. In my head, I was saying, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
I might not be able to do anything to you, but I'm going to show you something. But not only that, when I looked at people outside of my household, it's almost like I was looking at my father. So if someone tried to bully me or disrespect me the same way that my dad did at home, I'm reacting in that way of, you're not.
I suppose it's easier as well to go up against them than it is like
To
your
go against
dad.
it, correct, yeah.
And it's like you harbour those feelings, but you take it out on other people because you can. Like, you have those abilities to be able to. You have the facilities. Like, you can't really do it on your dad. So
but another way,
directed
but another way I looked at it is that, hold on, my dad has taken me through the valleys, the darkest of places. So what you do to me is nowhere in comparison.
Yeah, like you've already gone.
Like I've been through that.
It.
Yeah, so it's like I'm gonna show you. You know, that's why anything anyone else would do to me is like I've seen the worst. I've seen the worst, but not I've seen the worst. So what more can you do? More of I've seen the worst, so I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
This is what it's like. This is what I'm about, kind of thing. You know. And in doing so, a lot of people became intimidated. My name was getting about. People was hearing about me fighting, and I was like, almost like I was pretty much. I weren't really known much for drugs and stuff like that, and selling drugs and dealing and all that. I was known for fighting. I was an enforcer. I was a person everyone would call upon when there's gang wars. You know.
How were the gang wars in terms of like growing up around them, seeing them, being part of them?
It was. The gang wars, remember I said I was brought up in violent households, so you know when you're born into violence, all you know is violence. So for me, there was a thrill, you know.
Oh.
There was my body, everything chills. It was like
it's almost like movie like.
Yeah,
you're like
you
getting
know,
ready for it.
Just if I got that phone call,
you're ready. Like, you're there.
Someone was like, "Oh, Danny, so and so, this is what's happening," and so-and-so's done this and we've got into beef with this and that, and I jumped up. It was like a whole different energy. I could have been sleeping. I could have been in the deepest moment of my sleep, and instantly, sharp kind of takeoff. It's like...
Is it almost having as well, like someone to call upon you? Like someone needs you. They're calling you. They're calling Danny.
It is.
Do you know what I mean? Like they need you. They need you to back them. They need you to be there with them.
It is, but if I say too much of like, yeah, that's definitely it, it makes it sound like people are needy and I'm kind of there to fulfill their need. And it's not that.
Yeah.
It's just due to the fact that it's mainly due to the fact that I thrived off fighting. I thrived. Like these two fists, my knuckles is down there. That's where my knuckle is, down
if
there.
Everyone could, like, you can't see it, but like,
literally,
if you look at your hand, if everybody in the audience looks at their hand, it's like
further down.
A lot further into, like, I suppose.
If I had a week where I didn't punch somebody, guaranteed these walls are going through.
Oh wow!
Because if it's at home, someone ticks me off, bam, the walls are going through. I had to hit something every single day. I had to hit someone every single day. So if it weren't people that were hitting, it's the walls I'm hitting. It's you know,
so it's
that's
like
just
aggression not being directed, and I suppose what people could say like the right way.
Yeah.
More violent way, I suppose we could say. But like, so like in terms of like the gang wars, then like being a part of it and seeing that. Yeah. Do you think it still affects you now when you do stuff like that sort of violence? Have you been able to channel it into
I'm more
different way?
Yeah, I'm more in control now than when I'm not a young person anymore, and there's been times when people have ticked me off, and and there have been times when I've lost it a bit, and I'm still learning,
Yeah.
I'm still
As we
learning.
all are.
Yeah, I'm still learning. And the fact is, I can't say to myself, I'm never going to flip out again. I'm never going to get angry. I'm never going to. But what I can do is try to do my best each day when I do encounter a situation that seems quite intense and conflicting. And that's what I try to do every single day, right? But there are times, I think I was watching a podcast on Mike Tyson. He was talking about he knows the art of war and how, he's scared of himself and he thinks that he's a little bitch. And,
Oh wow.
yeah, you need to watch that podcast. And it's his own podcast show,
Yeah.
And he says in it about that he knows if he lets that Mike Tyson out, all hell's coming with him. And he was crying, he was in tears. And I was kind of in tears as well.
Because you related to it
I
almost.
could catch every single word he was saying. That thing of, if I was to say something now to you, I might have a future in this actually. But I I believe, even though I've not taken the position in that role, I believe I was born to fight.
Okay.
Like, I believe I was born.
That's an interesting outtake
Yeah,
as well.
I believe I was born to fight. I believe I was born to be a warrior.
Yeah.
I believe I was born to be on the field, on the front line, literally at war.
That raw aggression though that you're speaking about, and that fighter in you, like, how have you been able to overcome that? Especially like now growing older, is there a way that you've like almost channeled it, or is there times where you just want it to come out still, or like you still like it is obviously still a part of you? That's the thing, isn't it?
And this is why I can't use the word I've overcome it.
Yeah.
Because overcome really, for me, does fit into that box of I'm kind of out. Yeah, I'm never going to go back. I'm out of it. And I can't predict that.
Yeah.
I can't anticipate that. I can't put myself, like, I'm forever on an unbalanced road.
I suppose a better question then would be like, how have you channeled it then? How have you created something that is like violence and that anger, and how have you managed to turn it into something that is like for positive use, or for like better positive use, I would say, and like into something that's made you successful?
Yeah. I think I do a lot of thinking, and in part of my thinking, I weigh up the positives and the negative, and even oftentimes in my talks and conversations with young people, or whether I'm delivering a session, I always say weigh up the positive and the negative and see which one outweighs.
So just
If the
thinking
positive
about it.
outweighs the negative,
Yeah.
guaranteed that's where I'm going to be directed to.
So you take time to think about it.
I take time to think about it, but in thinking about it, I come up with that type of conclusion of, right, look, it seems like take it a step further. The positive I'm doing now, I've got more to lose now than I ever have in my whole entire life.
It's scary when you have something to lose, because before, like when you were younger, when you're talking about it, and to touch on it slightly, like the drugs thing, I suppose you did have stuff to lose, that is of course, but like now you're in a stage of your life where you've got so much, you've built up so much from scratch, from yourself, from your own back, that to see it all go, that would be devastating, heartbreaking. It just take you to a whole new place.
It's like it's more dangerous for somebody who's self-made to lose everything that they have than someone who's obviously been basically
had it their whole
transferred a load of cash, or the parents have come from this or come from that kind of thing. Yeah. And you can see obviously it's evident because the abuse that's taken upon these things is much more greater than the ones that the self-made people do. And that's what my life feels like. It feels like, although I'm not self-made, I feel self-made in a sense that I've built up.
No, I would say definitely self-made.
Yeah, I've kind of built up who I am, what I've done from, like you said, ground zero. And that's why I can't, in my heart of hearts, I can't afford to drop down to ground zero again, And Yeah, okay.
Sorry,
I
no,
was
I was just gonna say.
I was gonna take it a step further,
No,
but
no,
we
say
we
it.
we
Say
will
it.
no
We'll touch on it.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that because I can sometimes go deep, so sometimes I have to try and
No,
restrict
we
myself
like
from,
it.
you know.
We like going deep on this podcast. Like I said, it's about telling your story. It's about telling the stories that aren't going to be told. And even though this is similar to stories that have been told in terms of like gangs, in terms of crime, in terms of drugs, it is different because you've gotten to a point where, you know, you've made your own story.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're self-made now. You've got a lot more to lose. And we want to show people why that's important. And you know, there's a lot of people where we are in privileged positions where we don't think we are. And you have come seeing lots of different people, lots of different experiences. And like for my aim from this, I would want other people to take this and see like how you've able to channel such like a difficult and sad situation into something where you have become positive. You've actively tried in yourself to be a better person and to go out and make life more positive, or like make your own life positive and other people's. And I think that's really important. And it shows change. I think again with the stereotypes thing, you know, you have changed as a person. You're not who you were like however many years ago. That made you sound old. I'm sorry. I apologize. He's not old.
Nah, it's cool.
But yeah, like you have changed, and anybody has that capability given help and support. Anybody has that like ability to change, wouldn't you say? Sometimes.
Yeah, ability is
You can disagree.
No, I think ability. You know, people often say everyone has the ability to change and things like that.
It's hard, but
it really does steer towards everybody has this. Everybody has a mindset. It's just not set kind of thing. You know, almost like it just takes a different type of functioning. It takes a different type of somebody to intercede and just reconnect things. You know, because it's been dysfunctional the way it's been going for so long, and it takes time, as you said. It takes patience, it takes commitment, it takes consistency. You know, it takes as well. You also being, what's the word? You also showing yourself a little bit of grace. You know,
kindness.
Yeah, and that's where the problem is. Yeah, that's where the problem is. Oftentimes, people don't show themselves enough of that kindness. You know, you're quick to treat other people with kindness, but you're not quick to treat yourself with kindness. Why? Why do you hold such value on your life that you don't consider yourself credible enough? You don't consider yourself worthy enough, I guess. You know. And we can go into a whole preach about this as far as,
I suppose it's easier, isn't it, to be kind to others? And then, like, when you're with yourself, like, it is just easier to, like, almost, you know, beat yourself up about certain things. It's, honestly, our mindset society these days, like, I don't know how, but it is just easier to, like, beat yourself up about so many situations. But then if you're speaking to a friend, like, so many times, in terms of even, like, basic little trivial things, like relationship advice and things we've
got the best things to say. We've got the right things to say. We've got the right type of solution for people. But when it comes to us, we just don't treat ourselves with enough dignity and respect almost as well. It's like we've seen our lives from another viewpoint, you know, and you know that thing that you're just trying to always brush over.
Yeah.
You don't really want to get to grips with. You don't really want to intercede in and get to the bottom of it and say, like, within myself, this is what's going on. You know, we're always brushing things to the side. That's what it feels like with a lot of people. That's why people often say you're never in competition with other people. You're in competition with yourself. You're constantly challenging yourself. You don't say you're challenging others. You're challenging yourself. Why is everything about self? Why are we always challenging ourselves? Why are we always in competitions with ourselves? Why are we always being down and out about ourselves. Why is it ourselves against ours? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, 100%. I feel like we've built that up that, we're in a constant mind battle with we have to be better. With, again, like, and we keep on bringing stereotypes into this, but like the stereotypes that we're given, we're in a constant battle with ourselves to either overcome them or like get away from them or even be them. Like some people want to be those stereotypes. They want to have that. And they want to have that, like, that name for themselves, that community, that backing. Like, some people want to get away from it, but we're just constantly looking for, I'd say, like, you're right, like, in terms of the battling yourself, you're just constantly looking for who you are or where you want to be, sort of thing.
I just think we need to show ourselves more compassion.
Oh, I love us. That goes through the whole theme, everyone, of the unity, loving yourself, empathy. It goes back to... I was saying that my big point about why I wanted to do this podcast is because I feel like we lack a lot of empathy these days. Like, as a world, as a society, we're very individualistic. Even though we have collectivist cultures, we're looking out for ourselves. We're in a country where we are like, we want to back ourselves and that's it, or our families. And we've been told by like the government and stuff to look out for yourself and that's it. But actually, we've got so much love to give to each other and ourselves. And again, empathy. We need that for each other to thrive, That's the thing. We can help build each other up.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't do that. And I think we need to take a step back and look at it through like an outside perspective. So like this story now, for people to listen to your like story and then take an outside perspective and think, okay, if Danny can be positive and if he's able to channel that, then maybe I can go down that route as well. Like to hear other people being able to do that makes you think you can, because you never know, people might be in a rut. They might think, you know what, I may as well just carry on going down this path of being a bit destructive because that's all I know.
Yeah.
But
there's two things I often say to the young people when I'm in sessions or I'm delivering a project of some sort. The two things I say is, the first one is, every young person once had a dream. It's our vision to revive that dream. And the second thing is, what good is an experience if you can't share it?
Oh, I like that one.
And that pretty much stems from the point of, if I go back to every young person once had a dream, it goes back to me. I'm reflecting upon myself in this. I had a dream at the age of 6, 7, and I was saying this to Michael at some point, that I wanted to be a politician. I even watched Michael when he was on the,
Wow.
I watched Michael when he was, I think he was in the House of Parliament, or, they was doing a small youth parliament kind of thing. And I watched that programme. But I was learning big words and things like that. I was learning the sort of words that they would use in the part. I was teaching myself these things. This is even despite kind of being in a little bit of that grit of household, and it's quite toxic. And
how is that? Because that's such a contrast, isn't it? I would say, like in my head straight off the bat.
Yeah, because it didn't fully develop to the extent of, real danger in the household. It was getting there, but it weren't fully there. Every young person once had a dream is that I had a dream, but then circumstance took place.
Yeah.
Circumstance took place and altered my direction.
That's when reality hit.
That's when it hit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to put this to the side for now, because guess what? I'm having to survive. And when you're having to survive, you hardly ever think about the road you was once going on or the road you are going on.
I think what you said about experiences and sharing them is really important, because one of the quotes that I said on my page was that at the end of the day, if you can share experiences with each other, why would you not want to hear them? Like, it's so valuable to you. It's knowledge. Like, we're acquiring so much knowledge. You were saying earlier about the education thing and about how you don't like education too much at the time. And I fully agree with you, because I feel like we are learning useful information, but actually at the same time, there are so much more important things that we should be understanding about each other that could help shape us. But instead, our heads are being filled with I don't want to say useless knowledge because that's not what it is, but things that actually, I don't know how to describe it, create a little bit of like a negativity almost, I suppose. Like, whereas this, like, we need to do more of sharing our experiences with each other to get to a point where, where we can again break down those barriers and
Yeah.
stuff.
To give you sort of a perspective on this is that when people are going to holiday destinations, they go to holiday destinations because they were recommended a great place. Because somebody said, this place is fantastic, you should go. And they show delight and excitement in their kind of passion for giving you a whole breakdown of what they experienced in this holiday destination. So people ended up going there, and what did them other people do? They then spread the word again, and it was just like this ripple effect, weren't it? Yeah.
People.
And it also goes to show as well, in terms of the experience you gain and the experience you then share, if nobody shared experience, nobody would be where they are today in this world. No organizations would be running effectively because the CEO decided not to share his experience or have somebody shadow him whilst he was sort of slowing down in his role and waiting for that next successor to take, their position. So it's the experience in life that we gain to be able to go forward and push something to the extent that it needs to go to. But not only that, to be able to give to others. It's about giving to others. And my mind, and this is what I always say, I say, every success that you try to achieve in life always include people. Why is that? Because people are so important in everybody's positioning and everybody's sort of destination.
And have you done that, like, growing up and like into? I suppose I should like say as well. Could you give, like, just for the people listening, just a little background into like what it is you do now?
Yeah.
And,
So
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, what it is you do.
So
now.
I run an organisation called CEG, not CG. Sometimes I say it so fast that people think I'm saying CG.
They start searching it and they're like,
I know,
this
for
isn't
sure.
the thing you talked about.
CEG, which stands for Creating Effective Generations. And that quite simply is us going into various different educational institutions, organisation institutions, to enhance the learning experience of young people in and out of education. That's putting it into perspective, but if you want to take it a little bit further, we like to do the whole combination of presentation delivery combined with practical activities. In this way, we can evidence what we've done, and it can be evident that young people have grasped the knowledge of that and have initiated in carrying it out. And there's no better thing, no better joy, no better kind of excitement, no better fulfillment than to see that take place in every type of destination that we go to.
Would you say as well, especially from like, I suppose, your childhood and what you've seen growing up, to be able to impart that knowledge onto others, would you say that that's like almost like in
It's
yourself, like it's a happiness?
Yeah. I try not to get too happy about it, and I try not to, because I don't want it to be about me.
Yeah.
And I know it was born from me and almost like a reflection of my past. But that was me then.
Yeah.
And
you're different now.
Now this is me. Yeah, kind of thing. Like, I don't want people to look at it as, oh, Danny's just doing this because, he'd been through this. It's all about the Danny show.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be that way. I just want it to be the case that people look up and think, I'm hearing a voice from a young person that I never heard from for a long time. Or I'm seeing a change in a young person that I'd not seen for ages. I don't want to be the person that's like, oh, everyone only go to Danny and things like that. I want it to be the case that Danny is now showing us a pathway. Danny is now opening a door for other people to get involved in, but not only get involved in, but carry out some of the same methods. And let's see how that works out. You know, a lot of the young people that I do work with, it more or less does go successful. You can say that's partially my experience, but that's just because I'm so committed as well. Like, I never drop any young person. I'm not that type of person that says, right, I'll be in this week and I won't come back the next, and then I'll just jump back. Like, young people don't need uncertainty anymore in their lives. They've had enough of that.
I agree.
Dad's been in the
agree.
picture. He's been back out the picture. Mum's been in the picture. She's back out of the picture. Friends have come and gone. Aunties, uncles, associates. It's all been happening in their lives. So why would I want to add to that list? So for me, everything's about consistency in everything that I do with that young person. But I also try to find the balance. You don't want to scare them. You don't want to overwhelm them. You've just got to keep it at a reservation to start off with, and then start to build relationship, eventually getting to that stage where they now look to you almost as a role model. That's when you have the platform to be able to do what you need to do.
I can hear the passion in your voice already
when
when you
it
talk
comes
about
to
like the
stuff
almost
like
fire.
This is my
No,
life.
I like the thing you said about consistency as well, because again, I feel like you're right in terms of people leaving your life and things like that. That's one thing that I not hate, but like that whole idea of consistency. I don't think a lot of people have it anymore, and to have that one thing where it's like they know that they can rely upon, I think that's nice, because like I said, there's not a lot of it these days, and things come and go all the time. Like, not even in terms of just like life in general, like brands or like, I don't know, products, things come and go all the time. That's how we operate nowadays.
For sure.
So I feel like to have that one thing that is consistent, it's nice, something that you can rely upon, something that you know is going to be there, and as well will change their lives, so that they can like look back on their, you know, that like their growing up and think, actually, you know what, this is what I want to impart onto others. And you're right, like, spread the message so that it goes all around. And no, I feel like it is really valuable, and you have rewritten your story, and you've rewritten other people's stories, like, unknowingly. I know you said you didn't want to make this about you, and I know you're quite strong on that, but you've created something that is like very beautiful, and unknowingly you have rewritten people's stories. You've given them something to look forward to. You've given them that sense of like commitment, and they're gonna keep that with them for the rest of their lives. And I think that's valuable. Like, these life skills, a lot is being lost these days. We're not being taught like I don't want to say the right life skills, but we're being taught skills that is more for survival than happiness.
I just want to be the person that presents new methods, practices, effective practices that basically allows other people to take from and be able to do the same. I'm a strategy builder, you know. That's how I consider myself. I don't, you know, I'm not this major whatever. I just like to put in place strategies for any young person. It doesn't matter whether you've come from abuse, doesn't matter whether you're a dealer, whether you're a gang affiliate, whether you're an enforcer. It doesn't matter about that. For me, it's just about strategies. Okay, this has happened in your life. How about we look at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and see how
we can move forward.
I guess my aim in the future is to create this organisation that has almost various different departments where young people can come into and have a time to show ambition, whether that's in hair and beauty, whether that's in doing engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, whether that is, you know, creating their own arts company, you know, dealing with designs, arts, performing arts, things like this. Like, I want to get some of our young people on these podcasts to be able to, you know, I spoke to Michael about one of the projects that I'm looking to do, you know, and the project is basically getting young people on shows such as this to be able to speak out and speak their voices and let people know that I am around. Just because I'm young, I don't need people to speak on my behalf. You know, builds courage, it builds confidence, it lets other young people as well gain confidence from that and feel encouraged. You know, we're living in a world, in a society today that, you know, people are lost, people are walking into the unknown each and every day. uncertainty is becoming increasingly significant in our society, and
In all of our lives.
we've got to show people that let's take control.
Let's have something a little bit more consistent.
Correct.
A little bit of loving empathy. I keep on saying empathy. I'm
Yeah.
going to use that in every single session, I think, episode.
Don't
even.
forget tough love. Tough love is always
So to wrap this up then, I did want to end on that whole point that Danny did say about, getting people's stories out there. And as we have seen throughout this episode, hopefully that you can rewrite your story, and that even though you can come from, the hardest of times and stereotypes against you, or even your own head battle, between yourself, there are ways. It will take, I know, a long time or patience, like Danny was saying earlier, but there are ways in which you can rewrite your story and become something you want to be. And it doesn't even have to be ideas of success are so varied. So I would say not even successful, but happiness. And there are ways in which you can find your happiness in the end. But it is through stories like these in which you can see how other people have dealt with these experiences and how you can deal with your own experiences. It doesn't have to be just a one track, I suppose, one track life story. It doesn't have to be the same. You can break from it, even though it does take dedication and time and your own positivity, I feel. But I just wanted to end with saying thank you very much to Danny for being on the session today, and thank you very much for sharing your story. It's really valuable, and I hope that all of you listening find it really valuable as well and take something from it, or just even enjoyed listening to the story. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I'm honoured to be on the show and represent the young people, represent the work that I do as well, and give a great deal of understanding to people out there that just don't know where to start, really. Thank you.
Thank you.